You always were easy to fool.
A lot of us grew up believing that if we are too kind, too trusting, too emotional, the world will eventually punish us for it. It doesn't help seeing how cruel people can really be, and it's the times when the cruelty of the world gets too much that I go back and learn from the heart of the Teen Titans, Starfire. Starfire is one of the strongest in the team. She can lift boulders, no problem. When she meets the Titans for the first time, she shoots starbolts out of her fists like a machine gun. There's no doubt that she is a capable superhero. But what about her is compelling outside of these things? Some people find her to be too naive, too innocent, too soft. But here's the thing. That's kind of the point. She balances out the group with her gentleness. She is the heart of the team for a reason, and since she never got a season dedicated to her, I'm going to show you why she deserves her flowers and what we can learn from her. When being faced with hardship, especially of the prejudice kind, whatever that may look like, resilience is key. Most people see resilience as becoming tougher after experiencing cruelty, to bite back at the enemy, to keep throwing punches hoping to land a hit and defeat the opponent. This is by no means bad. In fact, it's justified that we defend ourselves when we are pushed to that position. Not all of us are made for that, however. Some of us at our very core just couldn't function like that, and when we tap into that power, it can either drain us or take control over us. It may even backfire or just not work at all. There are times when the ability to endure, to bend without breaking, is the best thing that we can do. So, when an alien hero named Valior crash lands on Earth after an attack, the Titans welcome him on Earth. However, Valior is quite hesitant when Starfire addresses him. He immediately says to the rest of the team,
"I see you have a Tamaranian."
In fact, look at how his face changes when he looks at Starfire. Later in the episode, however, it becomes clear that Valior holds a grudge or something at Starfire. He is far harsher on her than the rest of the team. In fact, she's the only one that he scolds or had something to say about. He also doesn't include her in strategies and fights. This leads to him revealing himself as having a prejudice against Tamaranians, referring to them as Trock. This is a cruel revelation for Starfire. She is open about her emotions. In fact, that is what mainly drives her powers. This, however, makes her shrink into herself as to not take any attention away from their mission. During Valior's time with the Titans, he gives them nicknames. Robin is Spike, Cyborg is Metal Butt, Raven is Sunshine, and Beast Boy is Champ. Very convenient, considering since he openly calls Starfire Trock, none of them would be the wiser. They'll just think that it's a silly nickname. I didn't clock it as a child because I didn't grasp the idea of racism at the time. I saw it obviously as a kid when certain classmates would tease and bully and call darker-skinned kids negro or nigra, obviously in a negative tone and connotation, but I didn't grasp how messed up that was. Also, to be fair, it was technically colorism than racism, because we were all Filipinos and some Filipinos just have more melanin in their skin. While the word itself just means black, it's the way that it's spoken and used against people that was wrong. When Valior specifically assigns Starfire on a dangerous mission, she tries to stand up for herself. But Valior is always one step ahead of her, even going as far as saying,
"Besides, your people can withstand the hostile conditions of space."
Cyborg checks on her as she's about to leave for a mission and witnesses Valior referring to Starfire as Trock. Curious about what the word means, he asks Starfire, in which Starfire says,
"It means nothing."
Okay, let's pause here for a sec and talk about how brilliant this is. Throughout the series, Starfire's English is distinctly different from the rest of the Titans. She tends to speak in a formal and polite way. If you listen intently, you would notice that she rarely, if ever, uses contractions. She misunderstands and misuses certain words and phrases, which is perfect for her character considering she's an alien. Some of my favorites from her are when she said,
"We might journey to the mall of shopping?"
and when she misunderstands the word girlfriend.
"She's not my girlfriend!"
"I am not your friend? I am not a girl? If I am not your girlfriend, then what am I?"
Now, going back to my point, her distinct way of speaking being utilized in this serious moment is well done. You may take her word for it, it doesn't mean anything, but listen to the tone of her voice.
"It means nothing."
Knowing Starfire uses English ever so slightly differently from us, that sentence isn't implicit, it's literal. But for most of us watching this episode for the first time, we all thought the same thing. She said that it doesn't mean anything. When she returns from her mission, Cyborg goes to congratulate her and addresses her as Trocky casually. Starfire is shocked and gets upset, telling Cyborg not to call her that. And Cyborg asks what is up because he thought that the term didn't mean anything. But Starfire corrects him.
No, I said it means nothing. When Valior calls me Truck, he is saying that I am worthless. A nothing.
And it's quite fitting that Cyborg is the one Starfire is turning for support, because Cyborg is, well, a cyborg. It's well understood that this episode is an allegory about racism, despite it centering around an alien. Of course, we all know that Cyborg is black, but he doesn't have to say it out loud. We all know that people get discriminated on based on the color of their skin, but saying it out loud I feel would have dampened the message of the episode because it's too obvious. Cyborg's most memorable trait isn't his skin color, it's the fact that he is a cyborg. He's part robot, and you can imagine what that does to an 18-year-old psyche. Cyborg then tells Robin about the situation and immediately wants to make Valior apologize. But Starfire reminds him that they still have a mission to accomplish. Her feelings aren't important at the moment. The first lesson we learn from Starfire is resilience. She acknowledges hurt but prioritizes what is currently important. She doesn't let herself be insulted and degraded by Valior. In fact, she sticks up for herself earnestly, without sarcasm or insults. She even saves Valior after his arrogance and pride get him into danger and threatens to end him.
You may not value my life, but I still value yours!
And even in the end, she prioritizes what is currently important, which is saving Valior's life. After everything is taken care of, the team addresses Valior's behavior towards Starfire, and she gets the chance to show that she didn't need to change herself just so she can get a clap back at Valior. She shows him why saving his life doesn't put her above every other Tamaranian, or that she must be one of the good ones. She stays true to her values despite him still holding himself above her, not learning his lesson at all. Irregardless, she chooses to learn from this ordeal and value her family of friends. Another thing that I love about Starfire is her kindness. She sits and listens to people. She never passes up on the opportunity to get to know someone and understand their motivations and why they are the way they are. Take the episode Deception as an example. When Cyborg returns from his undercover mission at the Hive Academy, he looks at himself one last time as Victor Stone, his real identity, albeit with some help from holographic rings to mask off his robotic parts. He sees Starfire at his door, and Cyborg explains that he never got to finish high school because of the accident that made him into a cyborg in the first place. He continues that he felt normal when he attended the Hive Academy, even when his human disguise was just an illusion. Starfire then says that since she did not know Cyborg when he was fully human, to her, he was normal. He gets to return this kindness in issue number 24 of the Teen Titans comic Teen Titans Go, not to be confused with the reboot Teen Titans Go. When they all had their powers switched, long story, they got a sense of what it really is like to be each other. Cyborg notices that Starfire is a bit quiet and distant, so he asks how she is, to which she says that she feels freakish. She immediately apologizes, clarifying she did not mean that about Cyborg, and he comforts her, saying he knows what she really means because he's been there. Quite literally. And just look at this moment between them. As I'm writing this, I'm realizing that Star and Cy's friendship is strong as hell. I've already given 3 examples, and in the last part of this essay, their friendship makes a comeback. Her kindness and empathy go beyond her immediate circle. It extends to strangers and even people with great powers they can't fully control. In the episode Snowblind, the Titans get called to a Russian village where people are terrorized by a mysterious creature. While investigating the snowy landscape, they encounter the creature, and Cyborg states that the creature is highly radioactive. Just as they are about to get blasted, Starfire goes on defense, saying that radiation can't harm her. She then goes and follows the creature, but is overwhelmed by the snowstorm and passes out. A man then picks her up and we cut to her inside of a room. When she comes to, the man introduces himself as Red Star. We zoom out, showing he is inside of a cell. He then says that he must remain inside because of the energy inside him, but invites Starfire in once she says that her people are resilient. Starfire explains that they have come to apprehend the creature wreaking havoc, and Red Star says that he is that creature. When confronted by Starfire, his radioactive powers surface and he releases them in a radiation chamber. Later, when the rest of the Titans arrive, Red Star explains how he gained his radioactive powers. They face the creature and Red Star's powers surface again as he contains them in a radiation chamber, as it is revealed that the creature came from him. Feeling guilt about the situation, he questions if he can even help defeat the creature, given the nature of his powers. But Starfire empathizes with him, now knowing why Red Star is the way that he is.
I am not like you, Starfire. Mine is a power I cannot keep inside.
Then do not. The greater the struggle against your power, the more it resists. Embrace what you have inside. Let it become you, and you will find what you are meant to be.
We don't get a lot of scenes like this from her, but despite what a lot of people may think, beyond her naive nature, Starfire is actually quite wise and loyal. She knows a good heart when she sees one. Despite not knowing him for long, she defends him when the leader of the villagers, his former military commander, objects to his return.
He will do no such thing. If you wish to make him go, you will answer to me.
When they defeat the creature, Red Star's powers reach critical level and must be taken away as far as possible. She flies him to space and stays with him until his powers explode and he becomes a Red Star. And you can see how sad she is that he had to go. Red Star is probably my favorite honorary Titan out of the ones in the show, and I wish we got more of him. Moral of the story? Embrace your power. Her kindness and empathy allowed Red Star to embrace his power just like how she embraces hers. And despite him exploding in space, Starfire says that he will return their kindness one day, and we do see him in the final battle against the Brotherhood of Evil in Season 5, now having full control of his powers. As I've said before, Starfire's emotions are what drives her powers. I know that this is very cliche for characters with powers in every media, but this actually plays a big role in this show. Starfire's people, the Tamaranians, are a very emotional race, and their powers are connected to their emotional state. She explains how her powers work to Raven when they switched bodies in the episode Switched. Both of their powers are driven by emotion but work in opposite ways. Where Raven suppresses her emotions as to not let her powers take over her, Starfire embraces her emotions because that's what amplifies her powers. To be able to fly, she must feel flight. For her to use starbolts, in her own words, she must feel righteous fury and boundless confidence. Robin got a sense of what this is like. In the same comic issue from earlier, he gets Starfire's powers. He says that he now understands why Starfire is always energetic and optimistic, saying her powers are glorious. From the media that I've seen, writers tend to go the Raven route when writing characters with great powers. To name a few, Elsa and Elphaba come to mind. Having full access to her emotions to amplify her powers makes Starfire a unique take on the trope. That being said, what happens when her ability to embrace her emotions are disrupted? When the Titans are separated in space after an alien attack, they get stranded on a strange planet. Prior to this, Robin and Starfire got into a bit of tension when Cyborg suggests that Robin and Starfire are in a relationship. Embarrassed being put on the spot, Robin shouts that,
She's not my girlfriend!
and here is where Starfire's specific brand of English is used again. I've mentioned it earlier how Starfire misunderstood the word girlfriend, and this is the episode that I was referring to. This is a comedic episode considering how the intro for it is in Japanese. Okay, quick fun fact. For people who haven't watched the show or skipped the intro, there are two versions of the Teen Titans theme song, one in English and one in Japanese. When the Japanese intro plays, the episode is focused more on comedy. When you translate the Japanese lyrics into English, you'd find that it's a whole bunch of nonsense. It's not a one-for-one translation of the English version. I think Beast Boy even sang the literal translation in the Trouble in Tokyo movie. The English version is the main version of the song, and it plays during Sirius episodes, regardless if it's filler or if it connects to the main arc of the season. Anyway, back to the episode. During the fight against the alien, Starfire keeps pestering Robin about the term, confused and upset about how if she's not his girlfriend, then what is she to him? As they're escaping from the alien, they get separated due to the T-ship's intercom getting disrupted by the alien's sonic waves, having the team misinterpreting Robin's command. The team are in their own separate adventures in this episode, and it's not really relevant to the plot, so we will focus on Robin and Starfire. Although the Shala aliens that Raven encounter are very funny.
Cute. Shoo! Shoo! Shala!
Anyway, it's obvious that these two are romantically interested in one another. When Robin finds Starfire, she is really distant and speaks formally to him, more than usual. As they are walking around, Robin tells her that she misunderstands what the word girlfriend means.
I don't think you understand. On our planet, girlfriend means...
A female with whom you have a pleasant and special association, including the sharing of enjoyable recreation and occasionally the buying of bountiful floral arrangements.
God, I love her. She's technically not wrong, but this definition is too literal and lacks the romantic aspect. Unknown to them, they actually were walking away from each other. When Starfire shouts, the gorge they were standing on suddenly collapses. As she is hanging from a ledge, Robin calls out for Starfire to fly, but Starfire says she can't. This forces Robin to think fast to save both of them. Later, he asks Starfire why she can't fly or even why she can't use her powers. She then explains what I've said earlier, which is that
Tamaranian powers are inclined by our emotions.
So the way you feel affects your ability to fly.
And right now I feel unfamiliar confusion. It is not danger that confuses me, Robin. It is you. I do not understand us.
Again, this is a comedic episode, so this moment isn't really as dramatic or serious like the other episodes. In fact, it is treated more for laughs and fan service for the audience watching. A will they, won't they for our two leads, if you will. But from a character analysis perspective, this is an interesting angle to look at Starfire. As we've established, she's open about her emotions, and now she's facing something that's preventing her from embracing those emotions because it causes her confusion about how she feels, no matter how trivial the reason may be. This in turn prevents her from functioning like her regular self and be useful in danger. The thing that remedies this block in her powers is talking about it to Robin, allowing her to process those emotions and regain her mojo, if you will. With his help and encouragement as they are free-falling from the alien attack, she's able to fly them out of there to safety. It's very easy to say, talk about your feelings. Be open and vulnerable and get the monkey off your back and get the weight off your shoulders. But it's difficult, it really is. There's also considering who the right person to talk to is. But as we've seen, not addressing your feelings can prevent you from functioning properly, powers or no powers. The real world is bleak enough as it is, and whenever I get bogged down, I turn to the shows that make me think and make me look inward and learn about myself so that I have a bit of an anchor to ground myself with and tools to use when life gives me hell. I'm not an optimist. In fact, I'm very pessimistic and nihilistic on top of that. Another topic, another time. But whenever I need a bit of optimism to keep me going, because I actually don't believe that a person can be fully pessimistic and nihilistic, Starfire is one of my go-tos. My two favorite Titans are Starfire and Raven because I identify with both personalities and perspectives. As a pessimist, I see most things in the way that Raven would see them. But again, the world is bleak enough, so if that's how you see all things, it's gonna take a toll on you emotionally and psychologically, but let's not go there. Starfire's worldview works for me in balancing my natural inclinations by being optimistic, but being real about it. You know, Starfire's optimism isn't positive ad nauseum. It really isn't like that at all. And we see that throughout the series, just like we see it in a small way in the episode Stranded. And we'll see that in an existential way in the episode How Long is Forever? Okay, How Long is Forever? Whew. One of the most mature episodes that the show has to offer. A lot of her episodes tend to explore her alien nature and culture, like in Sisters, Betrothed, and Transformation. And there are only a few character-centric episodes where she is at the center or gets to develop as a character, like Trock. For the most part, she develops alongside characters going through the same hurdles like Raven and Red Star. This episode, she learns a harsh lesson about life and she grows on her own. This is her defining episode. At her core, who really is Starfire? What does she mean to the Titans, and what do the Titans mean to her? And what happens when they are taken away from her? This episode answers those questions by putting Starfire into a dystopian future and letting her face her greatest fear. This episode starts with Starfire waking up with her usual cheerful mood, saying that the day has arrived, as she gathers all these knickknacks and trinkets. She goes to the Titans' common room shouting, "Happy Blorthog!" to the Titans not being in the best of moods. Okay, pause here because I'm gonna rant for a sec. I know this is a nitpick, but all of them in the same room when they're in a bad mood always bothered me. Raven is reading while Robin is blasting music across from her, while Sai and Bibi are playing video games on the couch, while all of them are complaining about each other. Like, Raven couldn't have just gone someplace quiet, like her room or the top of the tower, to read in peace. She really had to put up with Robin's boombox and Sai and Bibi's childishness. And also, Robin, if you're gonna blast your boombox and scowl all day, again, do it someplace else. I mean, you guys live in a giant T. I feel like it's too convenient for all of them to be together in the same room for the sake of the plot, but it gets the point across, so let's go back to the episode. All of them are arguing and complaining about each other's habits and tendencies, while Starfire just wants to celebrate this special day of friendship with them. In the middle of the chaos, one of her trinkets gets broken, and she yells for everyone to stop. She pleads with them to stop behaving this way and tells them about how in her planet, this attitude ushers in the Rekmas, or the drifting, where friends drift apart. The Titans tell her that this is just normal, that getting on each other's nerves is just part of living with other people. Robin tells her that despite this, they're going to be friends forever, just as they are alerted on a mission. And then we get a pan down of the broken necklaces after they left. They fight a villain named Warp, who has come to steal a time machine thingy to travel 100 years to the future. The thing itself isn't really important to what we're going to talk about. What we are going to talk about is the concept of change and how time plays a part in all of that. Starfire follows Warp into a wormhole, and during the struggle, she stops him midway time traveling to the future. She falls in front of Titan's tower and sees that the outside of it is in disrepair. She then goes inside and sees that it's not better, even spotting the broken necklace she has for her day of friendship on the floor. Cyborg then suddenly comes out, and we see how old and decrepit he has gotten. His glowing blue robotic parts are now gray and rusting. He says to Starfire that she has been gone for 20 years after the Titans fought with Warp. She asks what has happened all this time. What happened to her friends? Still in shock, she immediately decides to find the rest of the Titans, imploring Cyborg to join her. He says he can't because he's bound to the tower. He's obsolete. She goes on her own to see Beast Boy and Raven and sees for herself how 20 years of her absence has affected them. Without her warmth, the Titans drifted apart and became worse off because of it. Beast Boy couldn't succeed going solo as a superhero, so he just resides to using his powers to be a freak show for people. Raven, being the most emotionally vulnerable due to the nature of her powers, essentially lost her mind and isolates herself in this ghostly white room. She treats anything, or anyone for that matter, as only figments of her own mind, not even bothering to look at Starfire. As Starfire wanders around the cold city, Warp suddenly attacks her. She notices that he too has become old. Still grieving this awful future, she confronts him to fix what he has done to her past. This amuses Warp, saying that
Damage? Silly girl. There's nothing wrong with your past. One cannot damage history, because history cannot be changed.
This devastates Starfire further, but just as Warp is about to escape, a figure leaps forward to stop him. Well, he escapes nonetheless, but Starfire recognizes the man's voice. It is Robin, but now donning a new costume, referring to himself as Nightwing. Among all the Titans, Robin is the only one who has kept fighting, and even if he's going by a different name now, he is still the same friend that Starfire knew all those years ago. Robin also kept his Titan communicator just in case, and after 20 years, he calls the Titans again. The Titans reunite to battle Warp, and after defeating him, Cyborg redirected the wormhole to the past so Starfire can return to her timeline. Hesitant to go, Starfire asks if this is their destined future, but Nightwing hands her the stolen time machine and sends her home. This is what I mean when I say that Starfire is the heart of the team. The Titans wouldn't function without her. Couldn't function without her. They depend on her for a lot, whether they know it or not. I've already said that she is very resilient in the episode Truck, but this episode just goes to show how emotionally strong she really is. Being confronted by the burden of knowing there's a version of the future where her greatest fear comes true, and her being there to witness it has got to take some serious toll on her psyche. Like I said, this is one of the most mature episodes of the show. And I appreciate that it wasn't afraid to hammer in the idea that even if you think a friendship will last forever, sometimes it really doesn't. Time doesn't care for people, it is only concerned with change. In our lives, we meet people that we think we will be friends with forever, and there very might well be people who will stick with you through thick and thin. But for most friendships, or relationships of any kind in general, it just doesn't work out. And you can't blame the people for that relationship ending or drifting apart because it's life that's doing most of the work. I'm relatively young, but I remember making friends in elementary school or even high school and thinking that I'm going to be friends with these people forever. And yet life just doesn't work out that way. People have their own paths that they want to follow, and those paths aren't the same as yours, and most times it doesn't or probably will never cross with yours. When Starfire returns to the tower, she tells the story to the Titans, and they are surprised at how this one incident led to a dark future for all of them. Raven then repairs Starfire's necklaces, and they all celebrate Blorthog. God, I miss when shows actually teach you lessons. It still amazes me that this show managed to tell serious and mature life lessons to its relatively young audience. Again, I'm relatively young, so I'm sure I'll look back on this episode years into the future and find out what it really is like to grasp the full lesson that this episode is trying to teach. The lesson currently I take away from this is appreciate the present, the small things, because time will inevitably change everything and everyone you know. And just as a last bit, can we appreciate how great Hynden Walsh is? She brought Starfire to life with her brilliant acting and made us care and resonate with her character. Starfire is innocent and childlike, but her performance never came off as infantilizing. And again, Starfire's little isms like the mall of shopping bit or the dictionary level definition of girlfriend, Hynden Walsh crushed her performance. I want to do an analysis on the other Titans as well, especially Raven and Cyborg. But yeah, that's probably gonna be it for now. Take care, everyone.